All right, it's time now to take you to the Money Desk, where we've got our business editor, Devan Murugan. So, Devan, the economy is growing, and I wonder what you have for us in your business. Is it growing at a pace that is welcome?
No, not at all. In fact, it shrank. So 1.3% shrinkage between October and December. It was much worse than economists had expected. And as you know, in simple terms, when the economy shrinks, there's less chance of us creating jobs. Overall, the economy grew by 2%. Again, not impressive at all. But when you break it down, power cuts, logistical problems, it doesn't look like there's a good horizon coming forward in terms of this economy growing. So let's just very quickly take a look to see what the big numbers are. So you've got 1.3% contraction for the economy between those last 3 months of the year. As I said, the economy growing overall by 2%. But the finance, real estate and business services industry, the largest in SA, that's shrinking by 2.3%. Mining and agriculture also contracting. Annabel Bishop is the chief economist at Investec. She joins us now. Annabel, thanks very much for your time. So, I mean, to what extent is this a real contraction and not just technical because of the high figures previously? Fundamentally, this economy contracted in the last 3 months of last year, didn't it?
Yes, it's a very real contraction, Devan. You know, we actually found ourselves in a situation where the global economy slowed down quite substantially in the fourth quarter of last year. And simultaneously, we had an escalation in level of load shedding. And of course, we saw a 4.8% contraction in exports. And that's huge. Remember, it's not annualized. So overall, we are seeing a negative consequence coming through as a result of the fact that South Africa is just losing significant electricity capacity.
Yeah. And then one other interesting feature or number that came through from Stats SA is that this economy only grew by 0.3% from that 2019 pre-pandemic reading of, you know, the economy being 4.5 trillion rand. But then population growth in that period, 3.5%. Now, when you have, you know, the population growing much, much faster than the economy, it essentially means, Annabel, that people are actually getting poorer, isn't it?
Well, that's exactly what's happening, you know, and when you actually have South Africa running at stage 5, load shedding or worse, and we find ourselves in a situation where whistleblowing is not being taken seriously. Large reported theft and crime at Eskom, that's causing power blackouts, that's causing the load shedding, that's causing people to lose their jobs, it's causing the economy to slow down. All of this has been reported quite widely in the media, as well as whistleblowers such as Andre Gerata coming forward to indicate the problems that we are facing. And it looks like government may not necessarily be taking it very seriously. So these are huge worries that we're actually finding at the moment now for South Africa's infrastructure. Also, of course, as well, insufficient port capacity, rail capacity, and let's not forget water outages either. All of these negatively affect economic growth and in turn negatively affect the ability to employ people. And this is what makes people poorer as opposed to wealthier. So it's a real issue that South Africa is actually facing.
Interesting. Let's just stay on that job creation potential of an economy that's basically in an anemic activity, right? It's very, very low. Let's look at the construction sector in this last print. I mean, it's about 23% smaller, according to Stats SA, than it was before the pandemic. I'm trying to measure that against government's plans, infrastructure plans to, you know, make this economy recover in a particular sort of shape and form. Construction, you know, 23% smaller than it was before the pandemic. It gives you a sense that, you know, bridges are not coming up, buildings are not coming up, and the people that do that can't find themselves in jobs.
Well, that's exactly right. Let's not forget the excessively harsh lockdowns that were implemented on the South African economy during the COVID pandemic, which prevented the construction industry from actually building. And be aware as well, of course, that they build outside typically. So these are just concerns that we really are facing. But, you know, if we actually have a look at what's happening in South Africa itself, well, the 2019 RRP plan did not go ahead from 2019. It was blocked quite significantly by government, by energy ministers. And of course, you know, the reality is that if it had gone ahead and we'd rolled out all that electricity capacity, then we wouldn't be finding ourselves in the load shedding shortages that we are in now. You know, over 6,000 megawatts of insufficient electricity, 6 gigawatts. So, you know, the reality of the situation is that without the productive capacity capacity of the economy. If you don't have enough bridges and roads and rails and ports that function well, along with electricity supply, water supply, all of that, your economic growth rates get slower and slower. Eventually, the economy starts to contract. We saw that in the fourth quarter of last year, and that has a negative effect on job creation ability and, of course, jobs themselves. So we, do see that South Africa is in a very precarious position, and unfortunately, we haven't seen corruption and criminality or malfeasance eradicated from this economy.